Alright, since that last video that could be for around overshotted for over 15 minutes of this video, we're going to be limited around for some sort of like these things as well. Yesterday, for 2 days ago, I have reviewed the entire comic creator for around of these things as well. Some sort of like those things as well for some kind of like to do this, as we're going to be continuing reviewing for the Frutiger Aero comic creator post comics for around for these things as well. In the last video, we already checked it out for those things as well, but now we're going to be checking out for comics as well for some sort of like these, and we're about to here we go for around here these things as well. And I hopefully that you might going to be find out what is not going to be a little bit next around here. We already looked around here in the previous video, and probably there is still left more to do, but unfortunately it was probably limited as well. So let's go around. Started with happy 9 followers in Switzerland, but unfortunately that is a Chinese, I have recognized Chinese language as well. The description says Switzerland has been obsessed or obsessed with the photonite web. Seeing for those things is going to be for one thing as well. I'm going to be copying a link address as I might going to be find it out. So have a photonite Switzerland. By the way, the Chinese text is just the first paragraph of the Chinese Wikipedia page for one sort of thing as well. And that leads to round as for 5 out of 10. That was a little bit kind of worse as well. Another one is the Frutiger or the Frutiger Aero. It was actually for in the description for around here. It was Spy Bros #1 accidental eyesore. And when I saw the additional, when I say accidental, I do have purposely eyesore stuff, but I cannot believe that sounds like for a 5 out of 10. Frutiger Aero McCoo, and probably the description says, "Hey, guess who's back after 6 months hiatus? Really sorry for not explaining why I disappeared. I was having a bit of stress on here, and I quitted. I also might change my username or to something more better. Also, what do you mean this took 5 hours of inner Spain or some sort of the EB Spain like these? Could be for around for these, and I wasn't absolutely going to find around here. But this marks as 5 out of 10 also. Nothing like just the same as well. This is over 17-minute video that I wasn't supposed to be for around for this way since I just talked too much as well. But for now, we're going to looking for some sort of like those things. And I conclude this, which features sailboats not included in the comic studio whenever it does. So we're going to be browsing Frutiger Aero comic studio, and even for some sort of Frutiger Aero comics for like these things, which contains water tanks. Whenever I just going to be finding out, and yes, this will be only 3 of comics remaining for around for these things as well. So I will not believe this isn't going to be for around for this thing over here. So the 3 comics could be for about like these things as well. I wasn't interested for around for some sort of these, and I'm gonna be pasting for these things as well as I'm just trying to wanted to do. So the first 3 pages that I'm going to be reviewing for this isn't going to be for like that interesting. So let's start it around with a fish water tank. The fish tank is absolutely in my aquaponics class. And there was a little bit more for one comment and probably shared on February 18, 2025. So this is the beginning of the new era that returning to Aero or the like this thing as well. Frutiger Aero is returning probably for some sort of like the same year, but unfortunately it does not return because of Windows 11 probably shocked us for really as well. So sometimes it was probably for 7 out of 10 that I have seen this for real as well. When I was small, I went for my aunt's house for around here, and my cousin's house, the cousin's house that I just looked for the fishes as well, that I just completely tapped it as well for some sort of like the story as well. So that must be for some sort of the description as well, for some sort of the little fish as well. Boys, just because he's a cat type doesn't mean he has to act like one. And probably for act like one, right? Over here for one thing as well, that isn't going to be too safe around here. So that Lex's fall outfits, she said, Stampton, wearing the glossy world of Frutiger Aero, or the Frutiger Aero, of some sort of like the Frutiger Aero like this, or the Frutiger Aero realm. Ain't that good? She said, or asking for some sort of like this. Of course, the fish are really beautiful, and I could probably eat them. That wasn't going to be a good decision. I don't really think you ate some of the fish here. I don't really think that was a bad decision for some sort of life scenes and for some kind of economic reasons like these. But unfortunately, that sounds like a 4 out of 10. And probably there goes into the shop as well. The Frutiger Aero is probably awesome, said that into the description, and was a little bit pretty good as really fantastic in this mobile device store from Parts and Service. I have already looking at this from the comic post as well. I have seen this from last night, and probably the description says still a cultural leveler for around here. And because some of that the title says our promised future could be for read out for the redo, it was not probably like this thing as well. And it says here our promised future wasn't acceptable for even modern day as well, until the efficiency may came arrive at 2030s. Elimination for around here for some sort of like these that contains with characters as Wind Archer, Candy Apple, Sorbet Shark, Herb Cookie, Sea Fairy, Milky Way, and Aquamarine Cookie as well. Even for some sort of like the land and sea. And probably I have already seen for some sort of like for the one exception for this thing as well. And because of some sort of like those things, you have already changed your mind. I'm not probably sure. Some kind of images have already changed your mind for 9 years. And it has taken for over 2 hours of making of these things as well. And probably there is a whole bunch of Cookie Run characters from over here for some sort of like the alien, except for some sort of like here. We didn't absolutely add the astronauts, and for some sort of like these things as well for to do this, and I couldn't able to be added for some sort of like this. So they might going to be supposed to be here, right beside of Lime Cookie, right over here. Instead of like these guys, it wasn't going to be for such clever like these things in the future as well. Probably they added, I added stickmans for around here, including for this one. For by the way, he's right next to Ellie Rose. Probably for many more some sort of like those, the stickmans as well. And he's right next to Hero Cookie. He's gonna be right beside with Twilight from over here. Especially, it must be Dr. Hero Cookie. It's actually a Professor Hero Cookie. A Professor Hero Cookie could be in for some sort of like the facility itself, and probably that one scientist person right next to Finn McMissile, and probably another one could be kid named Vanos. And I already added bell pepper cookie for this time, and aloe cookie, and an NPC cookie, and Charles Calvin. And turns out the skies around here for itself, but before this, I added wallflower bush right next to this guy over here was Stardust Cookie. He's right next to Wallflower Blush. And probably in the outside world, everything is almost Cookie Run characters from around here, such as Strawberry Crepe, Herb Cookie, Cherry Blossom Cookie. Another one could be flying like these things, could be as the Cookie Droid, Xylitol Nova cookies, and Cyborg cookies, and especially that must be Sugar Glass Cookie. Or even this thing over here for some sort of like this. It was Spinach Cookie was right beside of Sir Miles Axelrod. And right beneath the two guys could be Sterling and Cruz Ramirez. Or Cruz Ramirez over here. There's Jenny Wakeman on top of Bob Cutlass. And I'm not sure. She's on top of Bob Cutlass, including Henry Stickmin as well. And now that I absolutely added the Chevy Suburban, which means the Chevrolet Suburban over here, right next to Cherry Blossom Cookie. And alright, that will be the end of this video for this much as well. The link is going to be in the description below. There are only 2 characters overall that I just already reviewed. Thanks for watching, for your support, and don't forget, the link is going to be in the description to browse some comics, whatever you want before it gets sued down, and that we hopefully, that is absolutely, if you're going to be liking for these, one of the images, and if you're absolutely going to be in favor of these things as well. And if you're a favorite of this comic studio, make sure you might going to be added a bookmark over here. So you might probably remember these things for 9 years. If you want to remember after 9 years, you're still going to be remembered for about these things as well. If you're probably interested for in the future. Thank you for watching, for your support, and I'm going to be signing off, and I'll talk to many lads and comic studio users all later.